7:30 hours married quarters. The aftermath. Sergeant Harry Hindle was very content to have been placed on the rear party. He had done his fair share of adventure training and even been involved in warfighting operations during his 22-year career in the Royal Engineers, something these young sappers could not comprehend. He knew that he was leaving the military at the right time. Partington Barracks was more like a university campus than a military establishment. NCOs were not supposed to swear at the men anymore. If they did, they could face disciplinary action. Hindle himself had been on the RSM's carpet a few times after a young soldier had made an official complaint that he was bullying him when all he did was call him a lazy bastard because his boots were not polished correctly, with just 3 months to push. It was cash in his pension to take his wife on that world cruise he had promised her since he was a mere lance corporal. Hindle shouted to his wife, who was still in bed, "See you tonight, love." Getting on his mountain bike, he took a leisurely cycle to work. He loved the village and considered buying a house nearby, but his wife wanted to move back to County Durham. However, he figured he could sweet-talk her into staying in Cornwall or Devon while sipping champagne in a suite on Queen Victoria. The place reminded him of Trumpton Town. It was stuck in a time warp which suited him. As he freewheeled down Cobb Lane, he knew when he turned left, the postman would be emptying the postbox on the green, and sure enough, there he was. "Morning," he greeted, raising his hand to the postie. "Good morning to you, postie," cheerfully replied. The young lads thought the place was boring, but he liked boring. He had 6 medals on his chest, nothing to prove to anyone, and even the RSM only had 4 gongs. The whole camp was full of creatures of habit. He looked at his watch. It said 7:45 hours as he cycled up the main drag to the gate. Ahead was the same old scene. Guardroom on the left, sentry box with a civilian contractor sitting on a chair and a soldier standing looking bored holding a rifle that they only ever fired once a year if they were lucky. It was Groundhog Day. He knew the soldier would see him in a second to try and hold her rifle like she knew what to do with it and open the barrier without asking for his ID card because standards had dropped. The young female soldier opened the barrier. "Morning, Sergeant," she shouted with a big smile on her face. Hindle even thought about getting off his bike for a second and telling the soldier that she should check everyone's ID card, but realized it was pointless. The soldier might report him for bullying or making a perceived sexist remark, so instead, he nodded back and carried on to the vehicle compound to take roll call of the rear party and designate the day's duties. If everything was quiet and in order, he thought he would treat himself to a pub lunch and just the 1 pint of cider. Hindle was in charge of 100 soldiers, male and female, most living in the camp and around 25 living outside, in quarters or private accommodation. There was only 1 week left, and then he could return to his day job as Mount Sergeant, beat up in his office signing the odd bit of paperwork and picking the winner of the 3 o'clock at Kempton racecourse. Days to do were getting few. He had gotten used to the half-empty place, but as he cycled down the tree-lined main drag to the garages, it was strangely deserted. Nobody was coming out of the cookhouse or any of the accommodation blocks. He usually passed a few soldiers by now, ambling to his parade, and told them to get a move on. Maybe everyone was already on parade and waiting for him, which would be a first. Cycling through the compound gate, he was confused at seeing the small group of soldiers on parade, numbering a lot less than he expected should be there. He guessed no more than 30. WTF. Billy Watson woke from a strange dream. He had been in a swimming pool, and a polar bear was trying to eat him. Pulling the earplugs out, which was still playing some sounds he had downloaded, he picked up his watch from his bedside cabinet. The watch told him it was 7:50 hours. Strange, for as long as he had been in the regiment, the orderly corporal had loudly woken him. Then he realized, oh shit, his door was still locked. Maybe they thought he was on adventure training. Quickly jumping out of bed, he turned the key in his door, unlocking it. Slowly he peered his head into the corridor, like a budgie in a cage looking for a cat. The place was deserted. Billy put on his flip-flops, grabbed his towel, shaving kit, and toothbrush, and set off down the corridor to the washrooms. Maybe he had got away with locking his door after all. Perhaps things were looking up for him, he thought optimistically. Up ahead he saw what he thought was vomit or something on the carpet. There was nothing new there, and he would be the one cleaning it up. But, on closer inspection, it looked like dust or mud. He knelt to get a closer look and realized it was wood fragments. Looking up, he noticed damage to the door. Someone is in the shit, he thought, deciding to be brave or foolish depending on the reaction. He opened the door, only to find the room empty, the bed made up, and the place tidy. Then, looking across to the other side of the corridor, he noticed another door was slightly ajar, so he pushed open the door and saw a scene that would live with him until his dying day. Lying in bed was a soldier on his back. His arms were still under the covers. The face looked up at the ceiling. The head had 3 large holes in it, and the pillows looked black, which he assumed was caused by the vast amount of blood. Billy's mind desperately tried to take in and evaluate the horrific scene before him. He couldn't even identify the soldier, but he knew a lad named Smith lived in that room. It had only been a matter of seconds, but he felt like he was nailed to the floor in some shock-induced stupor. Then, hearing a wailing sound, he realized he was making it, and he projectile vomited a stream of acidic fluid over the room carpet. Dropping his towel and shaving kit, he ran back to his room, losing one of his flip-flops and stubbing his toe on the doorframe in panic. "This cannot be real. I'm still dreaming," he said, wanting it to be a dream but knowing it was a horrific reality. Crashing back into his room, Billy ripped his mobile phone from the socket, charging the battery and locked the door again. He had to decide who to ring, the guardroom or the police. He opted for the police because he didn't know what was happening. If the killer was still at large, they might have killed everyone in the guardroom. He tried to dial 999 with shaking hands but hit 6 and started again. Finally, managing to hit the correct 3 numbers this time, it rang. "Answer the fucking thing. Someone, please." It rang 6 times. Then a calm, clear voice said, "Operator, assistance center. What service do you require?" "Police. Someone is dead. Murdered," he bleated out. For the next week, the residents of Polton paid little attention to the convoy of large, white, unmarked, articulated trucks entering and leaving. Partington Barracks containing the bodies of 63 British soldiers, 21 of them female, the youngest 18 and the oldest 20. It would be a month before they were informed of the unspeakable acts of evil that occurred next to their own houses. Polton would, from now on, always be remembered the same as other towns and villages in the UK that have been visited by evil, like Hungerford and Dunblane. It was Cornwall's own 9/11s because it was a military matter. There was no public inquiry. Colonel Driscoll simply resigned his commission, moved to Bermuda, and started a yacht-building company. 167 Regiment Royal Engineers, the Spartans were disbanded 18 months later. The whole barracks were demolished, and the site became a remembrance garden. Local Polton quarry fittingly cut the granite that made the garden's centerpiece free of charge, with the names inscribed of the 63 fallen. One name that was not carved into the granite was that of Billy Watson, a turn of a key that saved his life and made him decide he was never going to be on any war memorials. After battling with PTSD, Billy now works for a national house builder as a health and safety officer, and one to even pick up a rifle at a fairground to win a soft toy. Please like, subscribe, and share. Read A.A. McNally's book, Sons of Eirinn, Operation Celtic Jihad.